You think Ollie?
I think
He's
Ollie.
gone out.
Yeah. See, no, it's between Ollie and Daniel.
Daniel's got it here.
That's
Oh no, Daniel's not there.
No.
It's Daniel's, Lord Daniel's.
Aye. So it's either Daniel or Ollie, I think.
Hi there, my name's Paul and this is Diane. We're from an organisation called Community Renewal. We're just a new organisation, we've moved into the area and we're trying to get to know a wee bit more about the area and get to know the people a wee bit better. Have you got a couple of minutes just to ask you about what you think about living in the area?
Yeah. Do you have like an idea or something?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I've got it. Just got it here. That's
Okay.
Okay. Well, thanks very much.
Do you want us to take our shoes off? Or?
No, it's fine. Just hold it with.
So how long have you lived in Branston?
Probably about 6 months.
6 months. And where were you before that?
Glasgow.
Glasgow. What made you move so far from Glasgow?
My dad's work. He works in the hospital
All right.
here.
What does he do?
He's a consultant.
Right. And how are you finding living here?
It's alright.
Right. So this might seem like a kind of a strange question for you, but what would you say is the best thing about living in this area, if there is kind of a best thing?
I can't think of anything.
No, there's nothing good about it at all.
Maybe sometimes the view can be quite nice when you're driving.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was coming up round the corner. You're really up quite high here. There is quite a nice view. So you like the view. So that's one thing at least that's good about living here. Anything else? Is there anything else that you would say, you know, compared to maybe where you were before, that you prefer a bit here? Or?
I can't think of anything else.
No.
No.
Is there anything about living here that you don't like so much? Is there anything that kind of takes away from people's quality of life, do you think, here?
Well, for me it's just people around here are not as nice.
Right. So when you say people are not as nice, what do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Well, it's just a couple of neighbours just saying really horrible things just because I wear a hijab and my sister wears a hijab too. So they obviously think it's funny to call us suicide bombers and all sorts of things and make funny jokes, and that's not nice. It's horrible to be dealing with that every day.
So some of your neighbours have been kind of saying really insulting things to you because you're wearing the hijab?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Now, how long has that been going on?
Since we moved here, about 6 months ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So almost as soon as you got here, people have been, I suppose, almost kind of racially abusing you and your sister.
Yeah, they have.
And how does that affect you?
It just makes me feel like I was born here and my sister was born here and we've lived here all our lives, and people just don't, they just don't accept you. You can't be part of here, you can't belong, and you're just constantly made to feel like you're like outsiders. That's all.
So although you were born here, people round about, are just maybe assuming that you've sort of just moved to the country or something like that, and yet you've lived your whole life here, and it must be really awful.
I think they know that we've we haven't just moved to the country. I think they know that we've been here all our lives. They can tell from the way we speak. But it's just their ignorance and the way they treat us. And I mean, it doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen.
Yeah. And is that something that's just really happened since you've moved to this area? Did it happen before when you were in Glasgow, or?
Well, I think after the whole 9/11 stuff happened, there were some idiots that were doing or saying crazy things like that. One of my friends, she was in a bus and she got a bottle smashed over her head because she was wearing a hijab. But here, this is a few years on and people are still stuck in that same mentality. It's just want people to understand that, yeah, you get crazy people everywhere that do bad things, and it doesn't mean that all Muslims who wear hijabs, or any Muslim, that we're like that.
And what about your other neighbours? How are they behaving towards your family?
They've been okay. They've been quite nice. Some of them, they've been supportive.
Right.
And they've seen what's been going on, and they've just sort of come over and said, look, we're really sorry this is going on, and these people are just ignorant, and just ignore them. But you can't ignore them because you're just hearing really hurtful things all the time.
Yeah. Well, it's impossible to ignore things like that, It's good, I suppose it's good that some of your neighbours are, being a bit more sensitive and, being a bit more kind of caring as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what if you get any idea? What would you like to see kind of done? What would you like to see kind of happen about this issue?
I just wanted to stop.
Have you had any support, or have you gone to speak to anybody about this, or?
I don't know who to speak to.
Right.
Because I'm scared in case if we go to the police, then it's just going to become worse. Are they going to make things worse for us, or?
So you're worried really about approaching the police in case you're the neighbour that's saying these things, in case it escalates in some way, or they get even worse.
Yeah.
And that's kind of stopped you so far from going to the police. I'm just wondering whether maybe it might be worthwhile to get a few people together, and maybe some of the neighbours that have been supportive of you, and if we're able to maybe get together and just talk a wee bit more about this, and see what kind of ideas some of your neighbours might have as well, because it's something that you can see that it's really having a big effect on you, and see if we could maybe get something done.
I think they would probably help.
Yeah.
Because I think they feel bad about what's going on. I don't know what to do, though.
Yeah. Would there be any kind of neighbours specifically that you would think might be prepared to kind of get involved in a discussion about this, that maybe they've been already quite supportive of you?
I think there might be, but I think I don't want to involve them, because I'd be scared in case they started getting harassed as well because they're supporting us.
Right.
And then with this family that's been bothering us, would they kind of just make it a lot worse, because they would know that we're trying to find all these people and bring them together to deal with them. So I don't know.
Right. So you're concerned that by getting some of your neighbours involved, that that might turn this other family that have been harassing you even more against you?
Yeah. And they might start harassing them as well, and they don't need to suffer, do they?
Yeah. You know, I suppose that is a possibility that they might start harassing them, but you know, sometimes when a group of people get together to try and solve a problem, it's a wee bit easier than, you know, maybe like one individual or one family. We find that quite a lot in our work, that, you know, sometimes when we're able to get a few neighbours together who share the same idea, it's a wee bit easier because they can kind of support each other. You know, and we wouldn't mind, you know, going speaking to your neighbours if you can point us in the right direction. You know, if you could let us know, you know, roughly which neighbours you think it might be worth speaking to, we could go and speak to them.
And we don't need to meet them locally, we can meet them somewhere else, I feel like.
So we don't have to meet in one of our house or their house. We can be away from here.
Yeah, we've got an office just down at the shops, you know, just next to the post office. We could meet in there. That wouldn't be a problem.
And they could be coming into our office for anything. People wouldn't know, you know, they could be coming in for anything really.
Yeah. I think that would be much better than having people here, or for us to go to one of the other neighbours' house, because that family will know something's going on.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think, you know, in this instance it's probably going to be easier and more anonymous if we organise a meeting of your neighbours in our place. Is that something that would you like us to try and see if we could organise that?
I think we could try.
Right. So which neighbours do you think we should maybe go and have a chat with?
The people next door.
Right. Just this way and
down
the way, down the hill.
They're quite nice.
Yeah. Who are they? What are their names? Do you know?
The lady's name is Stephanie.
Stephanie.
I think her husband's called Paul.
Paul. Okay. Well, we could go. Do you know if they work during the day or?
I think they probably do.
Right. So maybe we would try and contact them. We'll try and pop by maybe about 6 o'clock, something like that, one evening. Is there anyone else that you think might be, you know, willing to come along and support?
There's a couple of neighbours across the road. They're quite nice. They've been really good actually.
Do you know which house they're in?
One's directly opposite us,
right?
Because you can see what's going on.
Okay.
And one house is 2 doors to the left.
Okay.
Of theirs.
Right. So how about if maybe we leave here today and we'll go and try and speak to Stephanie and Paul next door and the 2 houses that you mentioned, and we'll try to see if we can get people together to generate some ideas as to how to tackle this, because it's been going on, you know, long enough, and I think we need to try and support you to put a stop to this.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Okay. Would it be okay to get a contact number for you, just so that we can make arrangements? Is there a particular, I think evening, you know, early evening, would that be a good idea, maybe to meet early evening?
For me, any time, to be honest, because I'm not working at the moment, so just whenever, but I think maybe for the neighbours, early evening's good.
Right. Is there a particular evening that would be good to avoid, do you know?
Well, for me, Friday probably.
Right, okay. So maybe sort of Tuesday, Wednesday next week? Would that be a possibility?
Yeah. I mean, it's, I suppose you would check with everybody else.
Yeah.
It's okay with me.
That's great. And can I just get some contact details from you, just so that we can get in touch, just to let you know that the meeting's definitely taking place?
Yeah.
Sorry, what's your name?
It's Azra.
How do you spell that?
Azra.
And your surname?
Jamil.
How do you spell that?
Jamil.
And what's the best number to get you on, Azra?
You can maybe just phone the house number.
Okay. Yeah, it's 01475. Yeah.
And then it's 32 64 12.
12. Okay. So today's Thursday, and if we aim to, maybe try and get a meeting either next Tuesday or Wednesday, what we'll do is we'll give you a ring on Monday just to let you know if we've managed to contact your neighbours. And what we'll also do is we'll try and make some inquiries as to, what sort of support might be out there for this sort of, there might be an agency, to do with the council or something like that, that may have a role in this type of harassment. We'll try and find that out before the meeting.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll give you a wee ring on Monday. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you so much. It's just something that's been just really affecting all of us really since we've moved here. It's just been horrible.
Yeah, we can see that. So we'll try and get a group of people together and take it from there.
That would be really good.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Take on an action point between now and the next time we meet. Okay, so thanks very much everybody for coming along. I think I had a brief chat with you at your door, when I came to visit you. Can I just remind myself again about everybody's names? I know I got them before, but I'm Paul from Community Renewal.
I'm Stephanie.
Stephanie. Okay.
And Paul as well.
Paul as well.
Yeah.
Okay, easy to remember.
Leslie.
Leslie. And Azra. And what was your name
I'm not
again?
Paul, I'm Lil.
You're not, okay.
Yeah.
That's easy to remember as well.
Yeah.
So, I think, we had a brief chat last week. As I told you, what we're doing is we're basically going round and we're knocking on the doors in this area and trying to get a bit, to know the area a bit better and to get to know what people like about the area and what they don't like about the area. And we were having a long conversation with Azra last week, and she was explaining to us really about the fact that she's lived here for quite a while, but she's lived in Scotland her whole life, and yet since she moved to this area because her dad's working in the hospital, she's been experiencing a lot of kind of racial abuse, particularly from one family that live in the street, the McGuinness family.
Yeah.
They're
And
renowned.
really what we were kind of asking Azra if there were other neighbours that were maybe a bit more supportive of her situation, and she'd mentioned you guys, and what we wanted to do is get together today and really just have a bit of a discussion and try and come up with some ideas about how we can put a stop to this, because it's clearly having a massive effect on Azra. But I think it's also having an effect on your mum and your wee sister as well.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if maybe have any of you kind of had any dealings with this McGuinness family, or?
Well, a couple of years ago, and I went and they've got a couple of kids, and the kids will be kids, but they ran about and they were trying to pull the fence at one time. That fence just outside, and I went across and. I get, you say, you just try to say to the kids, it's not a good idea kind of thing, when they just don't say much. So I actually went to the door, but I didn't get very far. I was really polite.
Yeah.
I just said, do you know your kids are pulling the fence and you've seen the mess? And they said, what's that got to do with you?
None of your business.
No, and you're telling me how to look after my kids. So I haven't. So I do say hello. I always say hello. But that's about as far as it goes, and I have seen them, shout and stuff. Because it's just
your wee sister going
just
to
next
school
door,
every day
and
there.
You've been talking about their kids, but just so I can get a better idea.
Yeah.
How old are the
well, the
kids?
wee lad's about 10. He's about 10, and he's maybe a bit of a terror, really, to be honest.
The 10-year-old.
Yeah, he's a bit of a terror. He's always been a terror. And then the young, she I think she's a teenager. She was about 14, 15, and teenagers. She's not so bad. She's not a terror, but she's a. She's not so bad.
A teenager.
But I think the problem is, kids. I think you can deal with kids, but if the parents are backing them up, and the parents themselves are sort of,
Is it mainly the kids that have been saying things to you, or have the parents been saying things too?
Parents have been kind of. I've certainly noticed them giving me very kind of like horrible looks and dirty looks, and my sister said that to me as well. Yeah, and the girl's fine. But the boy, if he's about 10, 11 years
Yeah.
old, his friends are always with him as well, and they're all
Yeah.
joining in.
Yeah.
And it's
And,
just...
and, you
just
know,
an
and
edge,
I've
really.
noticed graffiti as well. You know,
I
and
think
you phone up the you phone up the council, and they do come and clean it, but it's there for 2-3 days, and some of it's pretty horrible stuff.
What sort of stuff?
Oh,
It's
khakis
disgusting,
out,
isn't
that
it?
kind of stuff.
Right.
You know, and we don't want that anyway.
Mhm.
But you know, if it's right outside your front door,
Well, they're just
or Azra's front door,
uneducated. I mean,
you know,
Uh-huh.
you know.
Stephanie, you were saying that you heard the young boy insulting Azra's sister the other day.
There was a crowd of them, he had his school pals with him, and they were all shouting. I couldn't make out what it was, but I know I could see she was really upset, and she was just trying to kind of hurry past them. But, you know, I mean, trying to get out your house and go to school, and you've got that to face.
Did you not know this was happening?
Never seen any of this, but I'm out at work all day, so
Yeah.
Do you know them again? I mean, do you speak to them again?
they're fine, they're always
Yeah.
quite pleasant.
Right.
So I'm
Right.
The
quite...
wee boy.
I feel really bad about this, I just I never...
Uh-huh.
Mm.
Did you ever
was
see
so
anything
surprised
to you
it's
about
gone on.
Azra and her family?
No, never.
No.
Do you not find the wee boy a nightmare? Have you never?
I never
He's
bothers me.
upsetting.
Never
Yeah.
bothers me. No.
So it sounds like, I mean, you know, it sounds like this is something that clearly, you know, it's having an effect on not just Azra, but you know, if there's people putting graffiti and
Oh
stuff,
yeah, yeah.
it's having an effect on other
I
neighbours.
mean,
as
probably
well.
less for us because it's not actually
It's not
personal.
aimed at you.
it's-
But do you get the odd tyre let down and
Oh, yeah.
whatever?
Yeah, you do.
Uh-huh.
You do.
And
You
are
never,
there
you never see it.
is it just
Yeah.
is it just the
Yeah.
10-year-old and the 14-year-old, or are there other?
There's a cousin comes quite
Yeah.
often. He
Yeah.
stays
There's
there
actually a lot of
He's
kids
about
hang about
12
with
or
them.
something.
There is actually, yeah.
Quite
Yeah.
a big, heavy set guy.
I
Yeah.
think it's his friends as
Yeah.
well, because
Mhm.
the other day they just spat. He missed, but he spat at me.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
disgusting.
and it was just horrible, you know, it's just...
That's a shame. I didn't know. I really didn't know
Was
it
this
was that bad.
The 10-year-old that spat at
I
you?
think it was one of his
One
friends
of
or
his
something,
friends.
but the rest of them just laughed and they thought it was...
Well, I
really
think I think we need to think about what we can do about this, because you don't, you know, it's not good. It's not a nice
No,
atmosphere
no.
for anybody. And it's not a nice atmosphere for
Mm.
your neighbours.
And we've been putting up with it for a while,
Yeah.
Yeah.
generally,
Uh-huh.
but it's now getting
Getting
serious.
serious, it is
I think,
serious.
It's
isn't
really
it?
bad.
Yeah.
No, it can't.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the problem, I don't know how Azra feels, but I feel if you went to the police straight,
Aye.
then
More
they'll
trouble.
come, you'll see the police cars outside, but what happens the next day when they go away?
Yeah.
Could it get worse? So,
yeah.
It
I
probably
mean, I'm
is,
not saying
I
we
imagine.
don't need to go to the police, but maybe if there's some other,
You
can
know,
we think of something
What
else?
with MP?
see
Yeah, but what
in
can
our
MPs
experience,
do? You know?
what the
Mm.
police will say, because we've had quite a few
Okay.
times where we've had to engage with the police as part of our
Mm.
job, but the first thing that they'll do is they'll look at their records to see who's phoned up to make a complaint, and if there aren't any phone calls to make a complaint about it,
So it's not
they'll come
serious.
to the
Yeah.
meeting and say, well, we haven't, nobody's told
Do
us
they
about
not need
it.
lots of evidence and stuff?
Aye, they tend to. I
Oh,
think
right.
going to the police
They need
straight
to
away.
get cameras on them.
Do you
Might
know,
not
I've
necessarily-
heard that there's some, because I heard somebody telling me that there's a neighbour dispute, or what's the word they use? Is it reconciliation or something? Isn't it?
Mediation.
Mediation. And it come. I've seen posters about it, and it comes through in that thing you get from the council. I think it's the council that does it. I don't know if you heard, but
Well, that would be good because it's a
but
council
that it is a
house,
neighbour
you know.
thing. I mean,
Aye,
maybe it's
neighbour,
more
aye.
serious than shouting about your
Yeah.
fence, but. I wonder if that might be something we could think
Yeah.
about. Maybe
Mm.
then they would know how to
Well,
handle it in a way that doesn't feel threatening.
I don't know about
Is it-
anybody else, but I would feel
Mm.
more comfortable doing
Mm.
that. I'm not hugely comfortable going straight to the police, and
Uh-huh.
because
Sometimes
that,
it gets a back up.
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
it?
and it might make things worse.
But
Just
you see, sometimes
Can I-
if you're confronted, even if it's just
Uh-huh.
like
Uh-huh.
somebody coming and say, "Did you know that
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
in your
Yeah.
neighbourhood is feeling really upset by
Uh-huh.
the behaviour you're being?"
Mm.
Sometimes people think, "Oh,
Yeah.
at least we could give it a go."
Aye.
because the
Is
boys are
that something
nightmare.
that
But
you've seen
They
in
must
this
know, though.
council area? Is it?
Oh, they know.
They
They
know
know.
that it's upsetting, and that's the whole
Mm.
point of what they do. They know that it's upsetting
Yeah.
us, and
Mm.
maybe they just want
But
us
no,
to leave.
maybe they do, but maybe I was just wondering if they were challenged in a
Mhm.
way.
in a formal way.
Yeah, in a formal way, I don't know. As opposed to, see, the trouble is if we go and do it, you can just get abuse back and that's it. But if it's a bit more formal, but not as formal as a uniformed policeman or something, it might come to that.
I mean, do we
You know?
actually know that the boy's parents know that he's spitting
I've
on you
seen
and
them look
stuff
out
like
the
that?
window and they
I
don't
think
do
they
anything
do.
about it.
They
course
know
they do.
that,
They don't do
they?
anything about
That's
it.
much better.
Yeah.
Do you know, I'm wondering whether it might
Mm.
be good to actually kind of keep a bit of a log of things that happen, you know,
It would be if
over
we
a
all
period.
did.
Aye, maybe
Well, I
over a
haven't
period
seen
of
it,
a few
I've
weeks.
I've been doing a bit of that already.
Have you
been doing that
It'd be good
already?
if-
Yeah, that's a
if
good
as
idea.
well.
We could.
Yeah.
If you already got something
Yeah,
like that.
I've not been doing it consistently because sometimes it's just so
Well, I think
depressing.
Yeah.
that's a great idea because if we all
I think
did
that's
it, and I
good.
think I would be prepared to do it, you know, because you don't want, you just go in and you shut the door
Yeah.
sometimes and you think, oh my god, I wish I'd done something, but you don't.
Aye.
If you write it down
Yeah.
and then they'd ask you, we've got that kind of evidence you're
Because
talking
then it
about.
isn't just, you know,
Yeah.
like Azra's word against their
Uh-huh.
word as well. If different people would be keep that
Yeah.
log as well.
I mean, I haven't seen it, but then I haven't been looking for it, and you know,
Well,
and
we see it because we're next door.
yeah.
But I think because if you do go to the council, they'll give you a formal log that you
Do they?
fill
Oh,
in.
do they?
They give you
Do
a
they?
formal log,
Mm.
and then you hand it in to them every month or so.
Is
Not
that
like-
through this neighbour conciliation service?
Well, I suppose you're working for the council, that kind of helps.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder if you.
find out more about it.
There's also a couple of
If Azra wants to, you know.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that would be a good idea?
I think the logging idea is good.
Yeah.
If we keep some sort of record of what's going on, not just me, but also
Mhm.
ourselves.
Yeah.
But
we
what
could ask,
really-
we could ask the Collinses next door. I mean, we could ask other people to do
Oh
it.
yeah.
There are other people who do it.
Yeah. Do you think they know anything
I'm
about
fed
it?
up with him again.
Well,
He's
see-
really fed
Well,
up.
yeah.
I think
You know.
I think some people, I think a lot of people do it and they're just embarrassed to talk about it.
But
You
then
know?
again, do we want
You know?
to target them? I mean,
Well, it's
You've
Well,
mentioned
there are
there,
others.
Paul, that you know the Collinses next door. Do you think would maybe be interested in getting
I
involved in this?
think they would.
Are there any other people that you think you know might be interested in supporting in this as well?
Sure there is. We could
See-
speak to some of them.
Okay, we used to have it's gone down a bit, but we used to have a much more community feel around here. Remember, we used to have these street parties, and there was a great community feel here. Well, there still is, but it's gone down because we have not done anything like that.
Sages.
So
we've had
I-
a few new people in as well.
Yeah,
since
and
the
that's
last
what
one.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If we even had in the summer, we could do it again. It's an easy thing. You just get a few tables out in the street, and everybody comes and brings something, and the
And the
kids.
council would
And even
block
if
it
the
off.
McGuinnesses, we would invite. Of course, we would invite them. But even if they didn't come, they would see that the community is together. You know, and that's another.
And
maybe that's
everybody
another
included.
thing.
And
Yeah. Has
Uh-huh.
anybody seen that thing on the TV that's doing the food thing?
Oh no, did they? What's
It's,
that?
I mean, I don't know if any of you realised I've actually Polish ancestry.
No.
And it was just I saw somebody making a cake that my granny used to make
Right.
on this
Uh-huh.
programme, and I thought it was a fantastic idea. They have people making things from, you know, any different cultures that they have, and as I say, I'm Polish, and you know, obviously you're Indian, we know that, and I don't know if anybody else has
I
got
lived
any.
in Italy for a while. so
Well,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that-
That sounds like a great party, actually. Yeah.
And it's just
Yeah.
something that the old-fashioned
Yeah.
thing you bring in
Yeah.
your tuppence worth, and we all,
Yeah.
you know, muck in, you know, a bit
I don't
like.
think we could. I think
good.
I mean, that's an idea. I don't think we could do that. We should be. That's the only thing we should do. But it
No,
maybe
no.
as well as the other thing.
Were you thinking
know?
of doing this sort of in the summer?
In the
or-
summer, yeah,
Uh-huh.
we could prepare, and we tell everybody, we ask them, and as I say, if the McGuinnesses come, that's
Yeah,
good because
yeah.
we can, you know.
Mhm.
But
And
if,
all the
if they don't,
kids
they're going to
and-
see it, and they're
yeah.
going to see that we're all together
Uh-huh.
in the street,
Yeah.
and I think that makes us stronger.
Oh, definitely,
You know,
definitely.
I think that makes us
Yeah.
stronger.
Do you know what about the schools?
Mm.
Schools do a lot of education about the different cultures and such like.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and I don't know whether these kids have had that so far in their
Don't know,
classes, but
don't know.
it'd be quite a good idea to speak to the school
And my
and see
daughter
if there's a
came
wee bit
home
more
with
that they can do
the
about that.
Festival of Light and that kind of thing. That's right. Yeah, I remember that. Do you
and
remember
do a
wee
wee bit more or
candles and
something
things?
that would
I
help
think that we
this.
do get that at school,
Yeah.
but
Ah.
it doesn't necessarily always translate into the family, and
Yeah.
you know. So I mean, it's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah,
but,
yeah.
You know, yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
And then maybe, I don't know, ask,
Mm.
I don't know if anybody at the mosque could maybe give some advice on
Uh-huh.
maybe dealing with this kind of thing, because you know, I'm sure they've come up with some problems like this before, and somebody else has dealt with it in a positive way.
Maybe
You know,
if I could just summarise kind of
Yeah.
a wee bit some of the ideas that you're saying.
Mm.
So you've talked about finding out more about this neighbourhood mediation service. And Leslie, because you work in the council,
Could you do that?
is that something that
Absolutely.
you could maybe find out
Yeah, no problem
about?
at all. Yeah.
And you have talked us also about taking, everybody kind of starting to keep a bit of a record of incidents, either graffiti or incidents in the street. Anything
It's
that
not
you
just
see.
racial stuff then.
Well,
It's just antisocial.
no, I think related to this,
Right,
really,
'cause I haven't seen that.
Well, we could. If you put the date and that down,
Alright.
yeah, we could do that easy.
Oh, aye.
Aye.
No bother.
And you've also talked a bit about maybe inviting somewhat other neighbours into this. You mentioned the Collinses specifically.
Yeah. And then I think the ones next to them as well. I think,
Okay. And you've also talked about possibly, having a chat with the local primary school and the secondary school to find out a bit about their, anti-racism kind of education and stuff.
Well, my
like that.
daughter's there. I could do that if you
I
wanted
don't
to.
think they do anything
No,
on
not at all.
anti-racism. They probably do
No.
stuff just in culturals, just
Right.
awareness.
You don't think they do anti-racism?
No.
But there's a project down the road. There's definitely a project. I don't know what it's called, but it seems to me to be a local anti-racist project.
Right.
Down in Allison Street that way.
Oh yeah.
So maybe we could.
Okay.
One of us could go in there. I don't know if you know about it, but
No.
Okay.
I'm quite happy to go in there. See what they see. Just tell them what they say. Wouldn't mention any names, but we could tell them what the situation
And
is.
you've also, suggested maybe finding out if through the mosque there's some experience there of how this has been dealt with in other areas.
I'm not sure how it's been dealt with. I know that there's lots of problems like that, or more so just straight after the 9/11 incident. There was a lot of problems. I don't know how the mosque are dealing with it. I'm not sure.
Is it worth asking, do you think? Because there must be somebody there that's dealt with it in a positive way. You would think, wouldn't you?
I can ask my dad to
Yeah.
find out, because he goes to the mosque
Mm-hmm.
every now and then. So
Because sometimes people just close themselves in
Yeah.
and don't want it to happen, kind of stuff.
Okay, so we've got a whole bunch of ideas there that, some good ideas. I think this has been a really useful how do you feel? Do you feel that this has been useful to...
I think it's
Okay,
just for me, to know that you've all shown up
Oh,
here
yeah,
today,
yeah,
and I think that's been really positive, and I didn't know that you were actually phoning up complaining about the graffiti as well, so it means that other
I
people...
was on the phone.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I haven't, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
And I've been ignorant to all this. I
Yeah.
feel so silly.
So,
No, don't.
So I think, I think the fact that there's good support, I'll let my sister and my parents know as well about this meeting, and then I think it feels like there's a bit of light at the end of the tunnel, especially if we're all kind of reporting or writing things down, so we all have a...
And do you think your sister and your mum might be interested in coming if we meet again, or?
Well, my mum really doesn't keep very well,
No.
and my sister, if I speak to her, she probably would be.
Okay.
She probably would be.
Good.
Yeah, she's lovely actually. I don't know if you met her, have you?
Because obviously
Seen her,
she's
but I don't really know.
it's affecting her as much
Yeah,
as
yeah.
Okay, so from today, what do you think we could do? Maybe in the next couple of weeks. What would people feel that they had enough time to do in terms of taking on some of this?
I can certainly find out very quickly about the mediation process
That
and
would
what
be
it
great,
involves.
Leslie. That'd
Okay.
be good.
That's
And I'm happy to talk to school about it because my daughter's at the local primary school, and I've got my other daughter at the high school, so I'm more than happy to talk about what they cover and and see what the kids know.
Well, I'll try that project down the road I mentioned. I don't know its name, but I can walk in. And I tell you what we could do is we could get a sheet, made up and pass round.
What, kind of
go,
petition?
no, I don't mean like keeping the record.
Oh,
And so we've all got it in the same way.
Oh,
maybe.
right.
Do that, we could speak to everybody
And we
about
can
a
go and
street
speak to
party.
people, and at
Oh,
the same
yes.
time we can do that and
See
see
if
what
they
the
can
ideas.
contribute
The
and
street
stuff.
party might or might not happen, but it might be something else that we could have.
Gives
Yeah, I
us a
think
bit
we
of
should
lift,
because the
doesn't
last
it?
one was brilliant.
Well, it sounds like you
Yeah.
can have quite a
You
few
haven't been
different
to them,
types of
have you?
food.
Yeah, it was good.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Okay, so Leslie's going to look at the mediation service.
Mm-hmm.
Paul, you're going to try and prepare a sheet to keep a log of incidents
I'll give it round. Yeah.
and speak to the anti-racist project down the road.
Mm.
Lil was going to speak to the
Schools,
school.
That's right, yeah.
And for yourself, Azra, you'd talked about maybe contacting the mosque via your dad
I'll do that,
and inviting your sister along as well to the next meeting. How long do people think that you would need to be able to do some of this stuff so that we can maybe set another meeting?
A couple of weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah, that's
Yeah?
it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's plenty of time for me.
Enough time?
So I've got
Okay.
there every day. What about yours?
But yeah, that's it. I
Yeah,
don't
will your
do
dad
much,
be okay?
so-
Or
yeah.
Not sure about the timings of the mosque, but
No, he'll be okay.
Yeah,
2
yeah.
weeks is enough.
Okay.
okay.
So, I mean, it's Tuesday today. Is it okay to meet again 2 weeks? 2 weeks on Tuesday?
Alright.
I'm free on Tuesday night.
Yeah, it's fine for me.
Does anybody know what date that would be?
4th.
4th.
Oh, well, that was really good.
Okay. And does this sort of 6 o'clock in the evening, does that suit
Mhm.
everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what would be useful is actually if I could get a note of your phone numbers as
Yeah.
well, just so
Mhm.
I'll just
Yeah.
I'll leave a wee sheet and you can fill in maybe your
Yeah,
your
no,
name
that's
your
fantastic.
name and phone number.
Yeah.
Well, how's that sound? Is it okay maybe just to leave it there for today, do you think? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, well thanks very much everyone. I think, we've got some good ideas there and some concrete things that we can take forward.